I was halfway through signing a contract with a vendor when my phone buzzed. I glanced down and froze. The message was from my mother, and the words made me almost drop my pen. Alex, don't come to Thanksgiving this year. Ryan thinks you bring tension. It's better if you skip it. For a moment, I thought it was a joke. My sister's new husband had known me for maybe a month, and already he decided I was the problem. If only he understood the real me. But I didn't respond angrily. I set my phone face down, looked at my assistant, and said calmly, "Let's move this meeting to tomorrow." Because that's who I am. When people try to push me aside, I don't yell, I don't argue, I act. I'm Alex Carter, 31, director at Summit Peak Real Estate Group, the youngest woman to run a division worth over $500 million. But my family doesn't know that. They think I do small-scale property work, the kind people do on weekends. Years ago, I stopped trying to explain my career. My mother's message wasn't new. It was just the loudest version yet. My sister Clara had always been the golden child, the one whose choices were praised, whose life was celebrated. I was the quiet one, working nonstop, never fully recognized. But Ryan was something else entirely. He craved attention, inflated his small achievements, and sized people up to feel superior. And now, apparently, I was too tense to share a holiday table with him. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. I was done. My life was too large, too full, too important to waste convincing people who didn't care to understand me. That night, I stayed late at the office. I finalized project numbers, signed approvals, and ran simulations for our new executive tower development. This work, this control, it was where I belonged. At midnight, the lobby was empty, my heels echoing on marble floors. I felt clear, focused, unstoppable. If Ryan didn't want me at Thanksgiving, fine. He had no idea the life I lived outside my family and how much bigger it was than anything he'd accomplished. The next morning was normal. Fast, sharp, and full of noise. Phones rang, emails flooded in, architects called for confirmations. My assistant, Emily, handed me a fresh stack of files. "Alex, the contractor for the Horizon project is running late," she said, but then stopped. Her eyes widened. I turned and froze for a second, then almost laughed. Ryan stood in the doorway, red-faced, sweating, completely stunned. He stepped forward like someone had shoved him. His eyes darted between me and the massive company logo behind my desk. "What is this?" he stammered. I leaned back in my chair, calm as ever, while he looked like he'd walked into a nightmare. He must have thought he could intimidate me. Instead, he discovered where I really worked, who I really was. "Good morning, Ryan," I said casually. You work here?" he yelled, voice cracking. "You're the boss?" I raised my eyebrow. "Yes, I manage 3 divisions, so yes, that makes me the boss. Why are you here?" He looked ready to faint. I came about an investment meeting. "Clara said you might help, but I thought you worked in rentals." There it was, the judgment he had tried to impose on me bouncing back in his face. I stayed calm, composed. He was the one shaking. "You told my mom I shouldn't come to Thanksgiving?" I said, even and firm. My voice ruined his bravado. His face paled. "Alex, I didn't mean, I didn't know you, I didn't know you had a real job, a life." He couldn't look away from the glass wall behind me through which my employees were under my supervision. I could see his ego crumbling. "Why didn't you tell anyone you were like this?" he asked, pointing shakily. I smiled faintly. No one asked. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Emily stepped in behind him, whispering, "Should I call security?" I waved her off. Ryan wasn't a threat. He had simply underestimated me. "I came here because we need a loan, an investment. Clara said you could help, but I thought you worked in rentals." He muttered. I raised a hand. "Ryan, let me be clear. I do not mix family with business. And I do not help people who belittle me. He stared as though I just flipped his world upside down. You can't do this, he shouted. Classic line. I stood, slow, deliberate, powerful. Yes, I said, you're the man who tried to keep me out of Thanksgiving. His jaw tightened. But you didn't expect, I interrupted. The person you tried to cut out is the one now sitting in the office you barged into. He went silent. Then, frustrated, he screamed, a raw, wordless scream. Everyone on the floor turned. His face burned red as he yelled, You embarrass me. No, I said gently. You embarrassed yourself. He stormed out, slamming the door. Glass trembled. Emily looked shocked. Well, that was dramatic. I exhaled slowly. He has no idea this is only the beginning. Because Ryan thought the humiliation ended in my office, he didn't know that truth. Quiet, sharp, undeniable was coming next. The energy on the floor shifted. People tried to pretend nothing happened, but everyone had seen it. A grown man screaming in the middle of a corporate building. I didn't chase him. I didn't need to. I walked to the glass wall overlooking downtown and let my heartbeat settle. This wasn't about ego. It was about clarity. Ryan finally saw me for who I really was. Strong, independent, unstoppable. And he hated it. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Clara. I debated ignoring it, but answered. Alex, what did you do to Ryan? He came home furious. I stayed calm. I didn't do anything. He came to my office without warning, yelled at me, demanded money. Silence. Clara wasn't ready for a quiet answer. Then she snapped. You could have been nicer. I almost laughed. He told my mom I shouldn't come to Thanksgiving because he thinks I'm intimidating. I closed my eyes. Clara. Maybe he feels intimidated because he underestimates everyone around him. She didn't respond. She hung up. Then it clicked. My family hadn't rejected me because I was a problem. They rejected me because I had outgrown the version of myself they were comfortable with. Fine, I would let them keep their small version. My real life was far bigger. That evening, as I reviewed the final Horizon project renderings, Emily brought a thick envelope. She said, This came through private courier from legal. I asked, Who requested this? Emily hesitated. Your mother. My mother? The same woman who told me not to come to Thanksgiving? I opened the file. Ryan had debts. Loans, credit card defaults, a failed tech startup. Worse, he had applied for a private investment loan under Clara's name. At the bottom, a note from my mother. If he hurts Clara financially, please protect her. I understood instantly. My mother hadn't pushed me away to exclude me. She was protecting my sister from Ryan's deceit, but she trusted me enough to act on it. I grabbed the file and left the office. This would end tonight, not with shouting, but with truth. I parked outside Ryan and Clara's house at sunset. Warm lights glowed inside, the picture of a perfect life. Perfect, but false. I walked up the driveway, file under my arm. Before I could knock, the door opened. Ryan, he froze. You can't be here, he snapped. Move, I said calmly. He didn't budge. I held up the envelope. Unless you want Clara to see this first. His face drained of color. What is that? Your past or present. Panic flashed in his eyes, not at me, but at the truth inside. I walked in. Clara froze in the kitchen. Alex, what are you doing? Ryan tried to intercept her. Clara, don't listen, he pleaded. But Clara looked at his face and whispered, What did you do? I placed the folder on the table. This came from my mother, I said. Clara's head snapped toward me. She had me look into Ryan. She didn't trust him. He lunged, desperate. Don't open that. I stood between them. Touch her again, and I'll deliver this to her employer, bank, and every investor. He froze. Clara opened the folder, page after page. Debts, defaults, failed ventures, loans in her name. "Ryan, tell me this isn't true," she whispered. He tried to explain. She cut him off. "You planned this. You want to ruin me," he said. "You ruined your own life when you tried to drag my family into your mess." Clara stepped in front of me. "Get out of my house," she said. He froze. "What?" "Leave," she repeated, terror in his eyes. "Mom will hate you for this," he said. "No," Clara whispered. "She'll finally understand why Alex didn't come to Thanksgiving." He stormed out. Clara turned to me, tears threatening. "Why didn't you tell us who you really are?" she asked. He stormed out. Clara turned to me, tears threatening. "Why didn't you tell us who you really are?" she asked. "Because you never asked," I replied. She broke down into a hug. Not the sister who had everything, but one seeing the truth. "Stay for dinner?" she whispered. I nodded. "Yes, but tomorrow is when the real truth shows itself." Thanksgiving morning arrived, sharp and cold, but with clarity. I dressed in a navy suit, hair tied back, folder in hand. Not to expose Ryan further. He'd already been exposed. I was here for honesty. At my mother's door, the aroma of food and laughter greeted me. She stepped aside, eyes wide. "I heard you weren't coming," she whispered. "I didn't expect to be," I said calmly. She nodded, guilt on her face. Inside, everyone paused as I entered. Clara hugged me tight, explaining everything. My mother opened the folder slowly, horrified at Ryan's plans. "You were planning to sign her into debt?" she whispered. Clara answered. He admitted it. Gasps filled the room. "I should have trusted you," Mom said. "You should trust yourself," I said. "You sensed something was wrong." Hugs, relief, warmth. When we sat at the table, laughter filled the room. Not forced, not strained, real. For the first time in a long time, I belonged. The true victory wasn't confrontation, proof, or revenge. It was happiness, right where they thought I didn't belong.